Here to keep the chase going, share information, spread unity, preserve our heritage and our culture. We're trying to achieve something that you just can't catch. We're always trying to find a better way, trying to make better dogs. That's what Dixie Doggers Podcast is. That's who we are.
This episode is brought to you by Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company. Marc Rankin specializes in Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle in Oglethorpe County, Georgia. You can contact him at 407-832-2077. 407-832-2077. This episode is also brought to you by Phil Wilson of UC Hunting Properties. If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. You can contact him at 678-791-3483, 678-791-3483, or visit his website down below in the description.
All right, everybody. Joey Nate back here one more time. We're doing it. We have, I don't know, this is probably our 4th or 5th episode that we've done down here at the new building that we're in, and really liking it so far. We're still got some more work to do. All we do was work, but that's neither here nor there. And so tonight we've got a guest with us, and he's an old squirrel hunter. And he's up there in North Arkansas, right there at the Missouri area, right around the Branson area is where he said. Everybody knows where Branson, Missouri's at, so that's where his office is at. Now we got Mr. Kevin Cowan on the line with us tonight. He's a squirrel dog man. So how you doing, Mr. Kevin?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Joey?
We are doing good, man. We've been squirrel hunting all day.
Well, me too, in between rain showers.
Oh, y'all got some rain? Oh, man.
Flooding, actually.
Oh,
yes,
well,
sir. We've got over 12 inches in the last 2 days.
Oh, well, that's a little much. A good light rain would be real helpful, but we finally got a little bit. What was it, Nate? 5 days ago?
Yeah, I think so.
So within the last week, we finally got some rain. It's been about 9 weeks since we've had any.
Yes, sir. It's been
dry.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So how'd you do today on your hunt?
I had a pretty good hunt. I wasn't able to go until I got in the woods about 1. I tried to go 2 or 3 different spots, and there was creeks, and then one bridge was washed out, and it was just a mess. But finally got in the woods about 1, and I think I ended up with about 9 or 10. But
pretty good.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do by yourself. So, but I may have mixed up there. I hope the limit's 12, like I think it is.
Yeah. I think we wound up knocking out 9 or 10 today ourselves, and we should have had more. But I'll be honest, like we didn't put in a long day hunt. It got real windy, and there's still so many leaves on the trees here. I mean, it's still thick, bad thick.
Yes, I was are y'all in Alabama?
Yes, sir.
I was in Alabama this past weekend, and there's a lot more leaves there than there are here in north central Arkansas.
Yes, sir. We were further down south, and down there's way more than there is where we live at. We live in north central Alabama, and I'm gonna tell you, it was a big difference.
Yes, sir.
Every year we go down to this spot. It's kind of a little honey hole, and man, we get on them quick and heavy. And it started out a little slow, but it picked up, and we made quite a few trees where we just couldn't find them, and
right.
Like I said, I think we made about a half a day hunt, and we come on back to the house. It's a pretty good little drive down there. It's a couple hour drive. So, but like I said, we had 3 pups with us, a couple of grown dogs, and pups got some reps in, so that was a good deal.
That's always a good day.
Mm-hmm. So now, for our listeners out there, and we got listeners all over the world, they tell them who you are and kind of where you're from. I've already told them a little bit about that, but and what kind of dogs you have, the breed of dogs, and your bloodlines and all that. I'm gonna sit back and let you talk for just a little bit.
All right. Well, like you already said, my name's Kevin Cowan. I've been born and raised here in Arkansas. Started hunting with my dad well, probably before I remember, but my earliest recollection of hunting was coon hunting at night, of course, and 4 years old, barely 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved it. And even though he was pretty rough on me as far as running off and leaving me and didn't have a lie or anything like that, get 100, 125 yards in front of me if the dog jumped a deer or something, he just couldn't burn me out. So I've hunted all my life, but still live here in north central Arkansas. Been married for several years, got 2 boys, 25 and 27. I was a pastor most of my life, adult life, but I stepped down from that a few years back, and my wife and I run an insurance agency, and the good Lord's blessed me to where I work, I own a company, but I can hunt every day. I don't hunt on Sundays because I go to church, but I pretty much live to hunt these days. I spend time with my family, I go to church, and I hunt. That's my life these days.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's just, I don't have to do the grind anymore. I hadn't since the first of the year. On the line of dogs, we hunted hounds, most of my life, childhood and teenage years on up to after I was grown and married. Of course, we had squirrel dogs, probably like maybe your parents or maybe even you did when you was a kid. Back in the day, you just squirrel hunted like you had one dog and you just done everything with it. You squirrel hunted, not deer, I'm almost messed up, but coon hunted, all that. But back in, I think it was in 99, my dad got a bright idea of getting him a mountain cur to hog hunt. And he named the pup Buffalo River Sam. He started hog hunting him when he was 5 months old. He only went one time, about got ate up by a hog, and that was the end of his hog hunting. So he converted over and started squirrel hunting. Shortly after he got into squirrel hunting, I got me a dog, which Sam was out of, I can't remember the female's, Crocker's Gill, and Cars Creek Cause, I believe is what he's referred to on most papers. And then I got a Cause female, and I kind of dogs going. I went through a spell where I got sick and I couldn't hunt. Matter of fact, couldn't hardly do anything for a few years. And but pretty much everything I have is based on that Buffalo River Sam, or at least Cars Creek Cause, something like that. Okay. So that's pretty much the line of dogs I have. I do have one that's a Hummer 2020 dog. I got impatient. I bought my first dog on a whim. I really wasn't able to hunt yet. I was still on oxygen, things like that, because I got COVID in 2020, and I was in bad shape. But anyway, I got impatient, couldn't find a Sam dog or even a close-up Cause dog, so I bought a Hummer 2020 dog. He's really not the line of dogs that I want to promote, because it means a lot to me to promote dogs my dad has.
Yes, sir.
But he is a good dog. He's a real deal. So
that's pretty good there. I've heard a lot about that Hummer stuff.
It's good stuff. It really is. He's a good dog, and I've hunted with several that is good. Out of that stuff. Okay,
I got you. Now on those dogs that you like, the Cause bloodline and stuff. The mountain curs. What size are those dogs averaging, like on weight, and what kind of range do they do on squirrels? Are they deep dogs, or how do they hunt?
The size of them, I'm going to say most of them is going to be, males anywhere from 40-ish to my Buffalo River Gym dog weighs 52 pounds. And to me, that's a pretty good size mountain cur. I'm not going to say that you won't run into one a little bit bigger. Sometimes they crop out small, but I'm going to say just your average size dog. And you asked ranging out. I'm I'm a pleasure hunter first. Now I drive
There
all
we
over
go.
the country, comp hunting. I really do. But pleasure hunting is what I do enjoy comp hunting. I must because I drive some out of state every weekend. Seems like, but I'm first and foremost a pleasure hunter. So I don't like the type of dog. Truthfully, I hate hunting with them because it almost turns into more work than pleasure to me. But I like my dogs to range within. Of course, I would love for them to tree within 100 yards every time, but that don't happen. But I really don't want my dogs going over, 500 yards ever. Truthfully, I'd rather them come back to me and load them up and go somewhere else, or go to the house and sit in the recliner than a lot of dogs nowadays in these comp hunts that I compete against. And if it's what they like, that's fine. But it ain't what I like because it turns into like work. And,
yes, a lot of it.
I do this for fun, So my dogs normally range. I've got some that hardly ever go over 250, 300 yards, but you don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much liberty I got to just be real on here, but I'm gonna
you
put
got all the liberty you got.
I'm gonna put a boot in their hind end if I'm looking at them very much.
That's right.
But I don't want them blowing out of the country, buddy.
Yeah,
I live in the hills.
Yes, that's us. We live that, and even where we were at today, walking the flat ground, we were in some flat country, and there was a few times they was ranging out, 250, 300, and all of us was like, what do they do? Why are they going that far?
Right.
But you hear a lot of these guys are like, yeah, mine get deep. He's 700. And I'm like, why?
Exactly.
Why do you want a dog? I guess with the competition side of it, it's different. And I'll be honest with you. I have talked to a lot of dog men and a lot of dog women in the past couple of years on here. And I've never really got to ask anybody, or I hadn't even thought about asking the difference in the competition rules for squirrel hunting versus like coon hunts, or is it about the same? And can you give us a list of kind of run over the rules with the competition hunt and how they do their points, stuff like that, to help some of the listeners out there, because they might be interested in doing some squirrel hunt competitions?
You might have to keep me reeled in and keep me on track, but I'll be glad to, Joy.
Right. Yes, sir.
Now, let's go back to the distance thing, ranging out, because I got an explanation of why they want that. And it makes sense, but keep in mind, I'm pleasured. I do everything I do for fun. So, but what the guy, if you really, really want to win consistently, it does help to have one of them that'll blow out. And I'll tell you why. They have a rule that's called leash lock.
Oh, yeah.
So, say if your dog trees 100 yards or 200 from you, like a sensible pleasure dog does, then if they've got one of them that'll blow in there, I mean, a lot of these guys comp hunt now. I still think it's probably 50% or less, but it's getting more popular all the time. If their dog blows in there 800 yards in trees, and I promise you that ain't uncommon with mountain curs these days, I'll be toning mine back. I don't like that crap. But say yours trees 150, 200 yards, you go to them because they tree in first. That dog blows in out of the country is what I'd call it. Then if it trees while your dog's on the leash, you're leash locked. So you literally have to score your tree. And if you find it, you plus it. If you don't, you circle it. But when you leave that tree, instead of cutting your dog, you literally have to walk your dog all the 800 yards and keep your dog on the leash the whole time they're searching the tree.
They're running time off the clock.
They're running time off the clock. It's not like it was 20 years ago where you would tree 6 plus up 6, 8. I mean, I've had as high as 1,100 and something plus points in a squirrel hunt. You never see that anymore.
Really?
And the reason why it is because a lot of times you're on the dang leash.
Yeah.
Your dog's leashed up. That's why they like that. So I'll get off of that real quick. So the way we do the scoring and the rules and all that, of course, it's usually nowadays, because elimination hunts are real big now, even if it ain't a state or world hunt. It's not single round. So what they'll do is they'll go either an hour and a half, I always push for 2 hours because if I drive 6, 8 hours to a hunt, I come to hunt. I mean, but usually it'll end up being an hour and a half because I'm the minority. They usually, sometimes I get my way, but so we'll cut the dogs. And the way they do it, when I tell a lot of people I competition hunt, they have an idea that we go out and kill squirrels and whoever kills the most. It ain't nothing about that. So in mountain curs, you don't have strike points like you do the coon hounds. You mentioned that, the
Yes.
difference. Well, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Is there's no strike points. So your dog trees, then of course you tree them in. You got to wait 2 minutes before you can go to them. They got to stay treed 2 minutes. They leave, you get a minus. If you treat in first, you get 100 minus if you left. But you get to them, you see the squirrel, you plus it up for 100. Of course, if another dog covered, which nowadays most people don't like that because myself included, we call that Me Too dogs, when they're just not finding the squirrels and just going and covering the dog. But if they did, then it drops down in OMCBA to 40. Third dog treat in 25. So you just keep score for an hour and a half, 2 hours. The ones that show you the most squirrels is the one that wins, bud.
Okay.
And the way it works is if you say you want to switch places or something like that, maybe the squirrels ain't moving, or maybe you hunted out the little area that you were in. Maybe you got on some private land or about to, and you're like, oh, goodness, this ain't good. So we'll call timeout once we have the dog caught or close to us. And you ain't supposed to catch them before you call time. Well, it ain't a good idea because they might fall through. But, and you call time out and then move them to another spot. But you do that hour and a half or 2 hours is actual hunting time with the dogs being loose. And whoever has the most points at the end of the hunt ends up, winning.
I got you. Now, on the, like you said, if you're looking at the squirrel, that's 100 plus. If your dog treed first and stayed hooked on the tree for 2 minutes, you walk in, go in there, you see the squirrel, that's 100 points. Okay. Now say you go in there and that dog is locked on that tree. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. Y'all hold tight. I'm calling him back. I might have hung up on him.
I lost you, buddy.
I don't know what happened. I have no idea. All right, so
we are having this flash flooding, so it could be on my end. Buddy.
Okay. Well, now listen. At any time, if the weather gets bad or something's going on, you need to go. You just say, "Hey guys, I got to go," and it's good, no problem.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is, with going into your dog is treed. And it stayed there for the 2 minutes. You walk in there, so you see the squirrel. You got 100 points.
That's right.
100 plus points. All right, say you walk in there and that dog is hooked in there, like we was talking about earlier, all the leaves on the trees, or there's a knot hole, or that squirrel could have timbered out. What do you get points then? Because the dog stayed treed, or
you don't get points, but you get what's called circle points.
Okay, so no plus points, circle points.
No, it don't really help you except in tiebreakers.
Mm-hmm.
But now in OMCBA, because I'm a cur dog man, so OMCBA and UMCA, which is I'd say the most popular cur dog hunt right now, that you can actually advance or win on circle points.
Okay.
But that rarely happens, of course.
And you said OMCBA. Now I know what that is. Now what's the UMCBA? Is it United?
It's the United Mountain Cur Association.
Okay.
We'll be back after a quick break.
And now, thanks to the sponsors and friends of Dixie Doggers. Animal Housing Solutions.
Boars N Broads.
Crockett Taxidermy.
Hardcore Hog Dogs.
Southern Cross Cut Gear.
Ada Y Transport.
4L Kennels.
The American Doghorn Museum.
Unique Hounding Hunting Supply.
Hogbaying.com.
Tuskers Magazine.
Mud Creek Hog Dog Trials.
That's what I thought it was. I just wanted to double check and make sure now. And I know that sounds crazy because I have OMCBA dogs, and me and Nate, we've had them, and my brother Jared, that son of a gun's had them for 14,000 years, and
Right.
if he hears me asking about something like that, he's probably going to hit me, because he knows I should know all this stuff. But I'll be honest with you, I just go hunting with them. I like handling dogs. I like shaking vines. I like watching everybody just get frantic and try to hit this little old squirrel jumping around. I don't get into the papers and all that. I'm starting to on the squirrel dog side. I've been on the hog dog stuff for close to 20 years now, and that's what I study more on. But we have used OMCBA dogs just about since I started hog hunting to run hogs as well. Most of the time it's because they just didn't fit as well of the tree dog side. You know what I mean? They might have been real rough, or they might have had a lot of bottom and deep range dogs. And that's what I want for a hog dog, but not for a squirrel dog. So
makes sense.
Yes,
yes, sir.
We've been messing with these Kimmer dogs a pretty good bit the past few years, and I like them.
I love Kimmer dogs. That's one reason why I like Cause dogs so well.
Mm-hmm.
Cause was bred, well, his mama was a Kimmer female, and she was bred to Mountain Jackson. And Mountain Jackson, of course, is out of Carl Smith's dog, Smith Streak, which you can't get an OMCBA set of papers hardly with what Streak ain't on there.
Yeah.
And so I love Kimmers. And then Cause was bred to Crocker's Jill, which was a Kimmer female. Of course, back then, before they got a divorce, and I'm just being sarcastic, but Kimmer Association and OMCBA, before they had a falling out, they would honor each other, the papers. If they would swap, but they got mad at each other, and I don't know the story and don't care, but they won't honor that now.
Yes.
But I'm big on the Kimmer dogs, big on the Kimmer dogs. It puts a nose, they got a lot better nose.
Yeah, they definitely have that. We've got one right now. Nathan actually won it in a raffle at the KSBA hunt at the Kimmer. Where was it? It's Hamilton, Alabama. It's not far from us. We go. There's 2 times a year, spring and fall, and it's close to the Alabama-Mississippi state line. Well, that wouldn't be too far for you to come to it. I don't know if you've been there before yet or not, but you ought to come check that out. But anyway, Nate won a pup there, and that rascal has nose on him. Today was his first day in the woods, too. And, boy, he was all shook up. He didn't know what in the world was happening, But, he's just a pup. But,
yes, sir.
But like you said, the nose on him, he would, when the other dogs would leave, he would go back to those trees, and he'd check them trees. He'd check all around. He never had one knocked out to him. He don't even know what they are. But he's got enough nose to say, hey, they're smelling something. I want to know what it is. Yeah,
it's just that natural instinct he's got.
Yes, sir. There ain't no doubt. I like I said, I really like them. We've even incorporated them into the hog dogging and all that as well. So I hadn't found any that were bad yet. I'll put it that way. They all have a place and a job.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So now you said you hunt in the hills. What do you hunt off of a side by side? Do you walk hunt, or how do you hunt?
Well, since I'm comp hunting so much now, I do a lot of walk hunting. But I'll just be honest with you, in these hills, brother, I do a lot of road hunting in the forest, which it's legal. And when you say road hunting, a lot of people, that's it, thinking road deer hunting, and I'm not outlaw hunting. What I do is legal, but I do a lot of road hunting. But I hunt on, I don't know if y'all have that problem in Alabama, but the last 15 years, hunting on private land is almost a thing of the past. And so up here, we've had so many people move in, and I'm not going to say where they moved from because I would seem like a jerk, but it is the truth. Yeah. They come down here and they buy 2 acres and act like they own 2 million.
Yes.
And so we have a bad problem with that here. So usually I like to avoid conflict. I love these dogs. So, mean, it sounds bad, especially when I said I was a pastor for years, but I like most dogs better than a lot of people.
Yes.
So these days, so I try to avoid conflict. So I hunt on public land a lot.
Okay.
And here it's around, I don't know if you've ever heard of Buffalo National River, but it's a
Yep.
huge, I mean, it's huge. It's covered hundreds of thousands of acres and miles and miles and miles. So, but the problem with that is most of that country is rough. And so I do walk hunt. I love hunting off of a side by side, but since I hunt public land, I don't get to a whole lot because it's illegal for most of the time. So I do, if I'm fortunate enough to find some good private land that I've got permission to hunt on, I definitely use, I got 2 side by sides, but most of my hunt, to answer your question, I go the long way around everything, brother. But I got a bad habit of that.
Ain't no problem.
But I mainly do walk hunting and road hunting.
I got you. Now, what's your what are you shooting? You shoot shotgun or 22?
I'm a shotgun guy because I'm still old school, and I believe the way to train a dog. Now I know there's training techniques that definitely work, but to me, my dad taught me all you need to do is give them a ride to the woods and shoot a lot of game to them.
Yeah.
Put fur in their teeth, and most of the time, with a little correcting, every once in a while, they just more or less train themselves. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, to comp hunt, it takes a lot more training because, a dog can only get 15 steps off the tree, and if they get more than that, they're minus. So, and they can't put their nose to the ground, even if they're a foot from the tree. They put their nose to the ground in a comp hunt for over 15 seconds, they're minus. So they have to either bark or look up or rear up on the tree, being what they call the act of freeing.
Yes.
So it takes a little more training with comp dogs, but I'm still a big fan of just giving them a ride to the woods and shooting the crap out of game.
Mm-hmm. Now on that training part there you're talking about, tell us what that consists of, because like I said, we just pleasure hunt whenever that we're able to, but I know there's a lot of listeners out there right now that they might be having trouble with a dog that's not staying on tree or something, and maybe that stuff will help. Tell us how you train a dog to do that.
What I'm a big fan of, now don't get me wrong, what I'm fixing to tell you, you can flat mess a dog up quick if you do it too much or get too rough with them or don't know what you're doing. But I'm a big fan of using the training collars. I like to get their attention in the yard, and I like to do and I'm sure you're familiar with it, tone break them, which is just, it ain't juicing them any, it don't sting them any. It's just a tone, and they know what follows that tone, which is a little shock. So I'm a big fan of when I start hunting a dog. First and foremost, let me back up. I think the most important thing to training a dog to stay on the tree is tie them at every tree.
Okay.
Now that's aggravating because if you're like Kevin, you want to go in there and start looking and blasting. I mean, that's just what I like to do.
Yeah.
But that ain't what's best for the dog. So I'm real big on tying the dog, just like all of us do our hounds. But I like to do that on the squirrel dog. Tie them up right there as close to the tree as you can. Second of all, say you were, because if you're going to comp hunt, you got to let them loose every once in a while, just to see if they're going to stay on the tree, or maybe they're not milling at all until you get there, and then that's good because you lease them in the hunts anyway. But if they're getting off, 20 or 30 steps, now I'm not talking about if a squirrel timbers. I'm never going to shot my dog, try to keep my dog from timbering a squirrel, because that's just natural instinct to me. That's a squirrel dog. A lot of these comp hunters they'll make them stay on the tree, and if they don't, they're going to make them regret it if they timber a squirrel. I'm not that diehard, even though I want to win bad every time I go. But what I was going to say about that can mess a dog up, I tone them. I teach them that tone button. Of course, you gotta give them a little juice to get their attention in the yard. But I'm real big on if they're off the tree, if they got their nose, I don't care if they're 15 feet off the tree. If they got their nose on the ground, they done committed the tree, and they ain't got no business putting their nose on the ground because all they're doing is second guessing themselves. So when I see my dogs do that, I'm going to tone them, and I'm going to say, get on that tree. You know, my favorite dog that I have is Buffalo River Tim, and he goes back to Sam, and he don't hardly ever do that. He's a feet on the tree type dog, and for a cur dog, a slobber mouth tree dog. But if he gets off the tree, I'm going to tone him and say, Jim, get on that tree. Except it's going to be more stern than that. And if he don't listen to me, I'm going to put it on 2, probably be like a 9-volt battery or something. It don't really hurt him at all. And I'm going to bump him. I'm actually going to give him a little juice, and I'm get on that tree. And when he gets on that tree, I'm going to go pet him up, praise him, you know, talk to him. And then you can guess what I'm going to do if 2 don't work, of course, I'm going to turn it up.
Yes,
so, but I think the key to getting the dog to stay put on the tree, tied on the tree, first and foremost, is if you're ever going to do anything other than just gun hunt, it's a must, I think, to tie them at every tree. At least to get them trained. You know, I'm not going to tell you I have to tie Jim anymore, but tie them at the tree. And then I'm a big fan of using a training collar. However, there's been a lot of good dogs ruined with them things.
Yes, sir. We talked about that at lunch today about how easy it is to ruin one.
It's so easy. I mean, because, you know, we're all guys, well, not all, but I mean, there's a lot of women that around here anyway, that squirrel hunt. But you know, we're all passionate about this. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't enjoy it. But it's sometimes you get training the young dogs frustrating. So it's so easy to let your emotions get out of hand, and when you should have just toned them, get ticked off and put it up on 10. You know, mine goes from 1 to 18 and put it on 10, and just some dogs can't handle what I call handle the juice. Other dogs, you gotta crank it or you can't even get their attention.
That's right.
It's real easy to mess them up.
So you run a Garmin handheld system, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, you was talking about the difference in the levels of stimulation. My son Nate, the one that's right here with us, we got to talking about it. And now keep in mind, when Garmin first come out, when I got the first one, of course they had already been out for a while. I'm just a poor country boy, you know. A few years later, I wound up getting a used one. And I had old sport dog system. And so I put them collars. I talked my little stepbrother into letting me try them on him, on his legs, you know.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, like, you know, I mean, what are big brothers for, you know? Well, that's right. Now, fast forward 20 years, and Nate and his wife, they hadn't been married too long, and we all got to talking about it. And I said, well, I wonder what the difference is. He said, I'm going to do a video. And he strapped that rascal on his leg. And that's what he said. He said, you know what? He said, I don't hit a dog very seldom. And he don't.
Since the springtime, there has been about 6 instances where I've shocked a dog.
Yep. She turned it all the way up on him one time.
Oh, yeah.
His wife, now listen to this.
I went through all levels on high.
Yes. He let his wife have the controller.
Crap, boys.
6 on high means 6 on high.
Yeah, it had his old leg straightened out, Kevin.
Oh, my leg was sore the next day from contracting.
Well, now when it was on medium.
And that was on medium. It was hurting.
He kept saying, he said, that's strong. Oh, that one hurt. And I looked at Ella. I said, go ahead to the next one. I looked at her and winked. She crunked that baby up. She popped him, that old leg butch stiff out there. He said, oh, Lord. I thought he was going to start speaking in tongues out there in the field. that rascal kicked his leg out. And I told him, I said, son, you gave your wife the control. I said, what is wrong? And then he had me over there coercing her. So, I mean, it was a lose-lose situation. But he
gained good. I wasn't going to get burned up. I didn't think.
No offense, Nate, but you got the tough part down. They say if you're going to be done, you got to be done.
And, you know, it's
giving your wife a receiver might not have been the smartest thing.
Yeah, but it was a good time. But but at the same sense, if people would do that, they kind of see what those levels are. I do not
run near as many dogs, would they?
That's right. I don't encourage anybody to do that. But now, say if you've got old Billy Bob over here and he's just trigger happy with it, tell him be a real man and put that thing on his leg or on his arm and say, okay, now crank it up and let's just see how hot it is. Yeah, it's hot.
And if you're going to do that, set it up like this. You get shocked on like medium on like 3 or 4. And then when you get it and put it on them, put it on high.
Yeah. That's how you do it.
There's a big difference between medium and high. A big difference. Low and medium is like the difference between vibration and like sharp pinch or sting. The difference between medium and high is like sharp pinch and sting, and like my body's contracting against its own will. My muscles are moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it's real easy to do that. So it takes a lot of time and practice and patience to really be able to train a dog like that. So for these listeners out here that, I just want to encourage that. Like I said, we got listeners of all ages from all over the world. And so now some of them, I know they're going to say, well, he said, do this and let's shock the dog. Nope, that's not what we're saying. So again, be very careful with what they're doing.
Shock them. Yes, sir. I only shock them if I have to, because I don't find no joy in shocking a dog.
You shouldn't.
And I'm also conscious of that you can mess them up, because some dogs just don't.
Can't take it.
It's kind of like kids. I had one boy that if you talk to him rough, and he's a manly man now, but you talk to him rough, still yet to this day, he's going to get teary-eyed, and he's going to tuck his head down and get real quiet, and that does him more good than beating the crap out of him. Not that I only whipped my kids 2 times. That's because my wife made me. But she whipped him with the wooden spoon.
There you go.
But
ain't nothing wrong with this.
More good. No, there's not at all. But it done him more good talking to him than whipping the far out of my youngest boy. Well, it's the same way with dogs. Some dogs can't take that harsh correction. It'll actually hurt them more than it helps them.
I've got an old female, an OMCBA dog, and I accidentally bumped her one day, and now Boog told me, and I got her from Jared McDonald, and he told me, he said now you can't put no fire on her at all.
Right.
He said when you do, you'll have to put your hands on her. Like she would just sit there. I don't care if it's on low or high or whatever. You can get 2 feet from her and call her and talk to her, baby talk her, and it don't matter. You're going to have to you've got to pet her and let her know it's okay. And hey, she's fine then.
Right. And that's like what I call freezing up.
Yes, she will lock down. And Barney Gray today, he had a dog, a female, and that's what we were talking about. She was out there in the river. I don't know what she was doing. Like I told him, I said, Barney, she might have a hog out there. She was out there just barking and baying and carrying on, and she was up to her belly, just in the mud, But anyway, and that's what he said. He said, right now I want to hit that thing so bad. He said, but I know if I do, I'll have to walk out there and get her. And, and that's knowing your dog too. You got to know your dogs.
That's right.
You got to know what they can and can't take.
That's right.
And so now you said that you've had this bloodline right here for a pretty good, how many years?
My dad got Buffalo River Sam, which went on to win the World Hunt. I think I told you that off the record when we was just talking before. But he got him as a puppy in 1999, and then he won the Claude Thomas Appreciation, the NKC World Hunt in 2002. So he was almost 3 years old when he won that World Hunt. And everything we have goes back pretty much to him. And we've had cur dogs since then.
10. Hey, you said he won that World Hunt then. Do you know how all that went? You got a good story on that? We love having stories on here about old hunts with your dad, hunts with Pawpaw, or anything like that. Everybody loves the good stories.
Well, on that, when they started it on Friday an evening, afternoon, whatever. It was in March is when the hunt was, the best I remember. So I don't remember if the time had changed. I don't know what time it got dark. But anyway, probably 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they went out. Dad won that cast. He just blew through it for the most part. He had to hunt Friday evening. He hunted Saturday morning, Saturday evening, and then he had to go back out Sunday. He didn't have a hard time beating his competition in those first 3 hunts, but he drawed a hound, well, a half hound, 3 and cur, half bird dog and half red bone. Guy here in Arkansas actually owned the dog, and that dog, I always like hearing about this, and I like telling it now because it just means a lot to me. Reminds me of my dad and how much, my dad, I was raised on welfare. I was raised on the food stamp. That's just the truth. So we were so poor. I tell everybody I was raised so poor the mice went to the neighbor's house to get him something to eat.
That's right. Well, I was too, buddy.
I never went to bed hungry, but I was raised really poor. So, but anyway, so we were really, all of us. My dad didn't get excited about much of anything, but he was so proud, because we wasn't no big shots or big names or anything like that. So anyway, he blew past those 3 rounds easy. He drew that 3 and cur, what they call them nowadays. My dad just called it a hound. But anyway, that dog was wearing Sam out, what my dad always said. Now, when I tell Mr. Dwayne that, he says, no, it really wasn't that bad. It was back and forth. But my dad said it was the best dog he'd ever drew in any competition hunt. And about 35 minutes before the hunt was over, squirrels stopped moving. So that hound went down on the creek and struck a coon, what my dad always thought, because squirrels wasn't moving. And Sam was a layup artist. I mean, he could win. I'll try to explain. I know you know what I'm talking about, but layups is one that ain't been on the ground. They might have been laying up for 2 or 3 hours, So Sam could tree layups like probably as good as, well, I know he could, as good as any dog I've ever been in the woods with, and better than 95% or more of them. But Sam treed 4 squirrels that they seen in the last 30 minutes of the hunt. Dad come back and beat him. But it was down to the wire, of winning that. And then talking about liking old stories, here's one that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. Sometimes I get plumb choked up talking about it because my daddy died of COVID in 2020. But anyway, my dad and I, we love these squirrel dogs so much, and we have so much fun with it. We literally would compete. We took and a scorecard. We got us a blank scorecard at one of the hunts, probably an NKC hunt back then, and we would literally keep a scorecard when we were pleasure hunting. We competed, and I would yank every tree out from underneath him I could, because what I mean, if my jips covered, because they'd cover each other, because we hunted together all the time, and if she barked one time, Dad held back, and she barked one time, I'd yank that tree out from underneath him every time. And we were so passionate about it. Sometimes we got along great. He was the best hunting buddy I ever had. Miss the old man. But anyway, we were so passionate about it. Sometimes we'd even get aggravated at each other a little bit, like we was hunting for a $50,000 truck or something. But his dog was better than mine. That's just the truth. I've never been in I have a world champion now, but on the coon dog, he's an OMCBA dog, but he may be as good. I don't know, but I don't think so myself in squirrel hunting. But I've never been in the woods with a dog as good as my dad's old Sam dog. So it was so joyful anytime I could beat him. When we were competing each other, we never drew out in the hunt, because when you go to same kennel goes to the hunts, they separate you. But we just had a lot of fun that first year that Sam was about a year old. By the time I got Penny with Buffalo River Penny, I won, made her a champion the first 3 hunts I put her in, won 2 first and a 3rd place. And then I finished her out to a Supreme Grand Champion and all that, won a lot of hunts with her. But Sam was about a year old when I got Penny. And that first year that we hunted together, he and I, in a 2.5 month time frame there, we killed for just them two dogs while we were hunting together. And we both hunted away from each, not together sometimes because I worked. And but we killed 437 squirrels in 2.5 months. We put a lot of fur in their teeth.
Man,
it's had a lot of fun, bud.
yeah,
So much fun.
that's something there. That's a lot of squirrels, and there's times that, I know there's people out there right now, they're like, man, 437 squirrels. If you're out there in the woods and you're in the squirrels, or it don't have to be just squirrels, it can be coons, it can be hogs or whatever. If you're in the game and you got good dogs and you really hunt, you can put some numbers up.
That's right.
I mean,
yes, sir.
You can stack them up.
That's right.
We got into that last year and we jumped off real quick on the hog numbers. And before I knew it, we was over 200. Then we was close to 300.
Dang, that's a lot of hogs, brother.
Yes. And normally when somebody tells me, yeah, we killed 300 or 400 hogs this year with dogs, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay, you might be stretching a little bit. But right. I'm serious. Like, we didn't even hunt that hard. We hunted a lot, but we were in the hogs. Every time we hunted, it seemed like we was getting anywhere from 5 to 25 every single time. And so when you're doing it like that, it's not that hard to put up big numbers.
That's right.
Now you keep talking about coon dogs and stuff a little while ago. You said to give us a little stuff on your coon dogs, what you got going there.
So the ones that I love the most I'm a cur dog man. So I do have hounds, but I won't talk about them. But unless you want me to.
Oh, you talk about this is all about dogs here, buddy. Whatever you want to talk about, Mr. Kevin.
Well, I'll make that quick. I do have a really good tree and walker. He is directly out of Shack, which is a big name stud dog. Matter of fact, the second, third, and fourth place in the big UKC World Hunt this year was Shack pups, directly Shack pups. My dog got a Shack, so I love that. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of Bone Collector.
Yes,
he's a big name dog. Well, he's a grand pup out of Bone Collector. He's the real deal. But I don't hunt him near as much. And be honest with you, he'll show you more coons than these curs because these hounds, they're going to hunt farther than my cur dogs do.
Yes.
But the dog that I have that I love the most is Buffalo River Jim. Now he's a coon dog. He is a dandy. Unfortunately, and he goes back to Sam. I think he's the great grandson of Sam.
Okay.
And then he's got Sam 2 or 3 other times on his papers. But he got our Licky. I went all the way to Lawley, Alabama in August, and August 31st, and he was sick. He was really sick. He wouldn't hunt. It ain't like him because he's a cur dog. It's a tick disease.
Yes,
Licky is a tick disease. And he ain't been right since. I still hunt him. I hunted him today, and he showed me some squirrels. But he gets hot real easy. That's the dog that I love the most because he goes back to my dad's dog. But the best coon dog I have is I bought him, actually. I can't take no credit for training him. I bought him from there's a kennel in the squirrel dog world here in Arkansas. It's called Lost Bottom Kennel. And one of the guys that's in that, I think there's 6 or 7 of them guys. And the reason why they made a kennel like that is because they don't want to draw each other when they go to these hunts, which is smart.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to drive to Jamestown, Tennessee from Arkansas, and then 3 or 4 of you drive together, and then 2 or 3 of you draw out together. That sucks,
Yeah.
So to have to beat your buddy in the first round. So anyway, I've got a dog called, I'm going to change his name to Buffalo River Slim, but right now his name is Lost Bottom Slim.
Okay.
He's won a world hunt. He won the UMCA coon hunt, I believe, in 2022. And then he won a Claude Thomas Appreciation coon hunt reserve. world champion. He got beat out in the last round. And then he's got another reserve world champion title. That was what they call, I don't know if they do that in Alabama, but here in Arkansas, they have an NKC squirrel and coon hunt every year. It's called Battle of the Breeds. So they'll have black and tans, blue ticks, walkers, cur dogs, you name it, they'll have it.
Jeremy Gardner. I hope Jeremy Gardner's listening.
And anyway, my dog in that Battle of the Breeds, he made it to the last round. It was only what I understand. It was, I don't know how 2 dogs ended up in the hunt, but from what I understand, there's only 2 dogs in it: a Walker dog and Slim, and the Walker dog ended up going further than he did, and ended up getting treed only, which means by himself, and he beat Slim out. But he's the real deal. Matter of fact, if this rain will stop, when we get off of here, I'm going coon hunting. I hunted till dark, and then I'm going to go coon hunting, and I'm going to take old Slim, and I have plans to go Mississippi State hunt, which is in, and I may not say this right, but Grenada, I believe it is.
Yeah, Grenada.
This weekend, I'm going to coon hunt him Friday night, and then I'll squirrel hunt a dog that I have called Sister. I didn't name her. That seems like a weird name to me, but anyway, Buffalo River Sister. She's a cause dog, and she's a real deal as well. She's done real good in the comp hunts and stuff. So we're gonna go down there and see if we can't do some damage in the Mississippi State hunt this weekend.
That'd be all right there. I'd like to know how all that turns out. I've got your phone number now, so I might have to send you a text message or something. And I need to get some pictures. I need to know more about this Slim dog here in the future. I'm really liking that. Yeah,
Well, be watching out for him, because I'm going to hunt him and I ain't trying to be cocky or arrogant, because I ain't got nothing to do with what the dog is. I bought the dog as a 4-year-old dog, but he is the best cur coon dog that I know of anywhere. And a lot of people, before I bought him, I had a few, and I'll have to be careful not name names because I don't want to ever offend anybody. But I had my eye on another dog that has won a world title at Jamestown, actually. And I tried to buy this Slim first. The guy wouldn't cooperate, which I understand. You don't want to sell, you don't want to sell. So, but I really wanted him because he goes back to my dad's Buffalo River Sam dog, and I'm a sentimental guy,
yes, sir.
My dad died 4 years ago, but I miss that old preacher man more today than I did when he died over 4 years ago. So
yes, sir.
it just does my heart good to have a dog that was out of his. Like I feel like I'm maybe making him proud, which he probably don't know about it anyway. But if he did, I think he'd be real proud of me for carrying on
without
this
a doubt
line of dogs, So, but
without,
I'm gonna do some winning. I'm confident of that with
I like
Slim, because he's the real deal.
Yeah, when you have a dog that can do it, well, I got a friend named Randy Durrell, and he's got a dog named Goose, and in the hog baying world, Goose he's the top dog pretty much, and he catches a lot of flack from other people, They're like, man, he's cocky or he's arrogant. I'm like, look, if your dog is 6 years old and is a 5-time world champion,
exactly,
it's is it really being cocky, or is it arrogant? It's facts, it's confidence.
That's what I was about to say. I just didn't want to butt in, but there's a fine line between cocky and confidence, and everybody that's good at something. I train my downline insurance agents that you got to stomp all over that cocky line with confidence, or you ain't gonna be worth a crap at whatever you set out to do. That's my opinion. And I feel the same way with these dogs. You got to have confidence in your dog to even be able to handle it in a hunt.
That's right.
And so, but anyway, that's I get that. I ain't catching that heat yet. My dad did back when he was winning a lot, and I did some when I had Penny, but I was just able to get back into the comp hunt because truthfully, I was still on oxygen I'm gonna get on a rabbit trail, but I gotta
Run it, buddy. Run that rabbit.
Uh, I, I am a Christian, a man of faith, and I got to give God the credit. So, in April of 18th of last year, about 18 months ago, something like that, I weighed 531 pounds. So I didn't do a lot of hunting right then because after COVID, I was, fighting for my life for 3 years. I've hunted all my life, but I physically wasn't able to hunt on oxygen for 24 hours a day for over 3 years. I still work.
Yes.
The only thing I've done was go home, every day after work. I went to church and I walked down to my mom's because my mom, I live here by her after my dad died. We put a home here and we live here. But anyway, well, that's what I was even talking about. I hate that. Oh, I was on oxygen.
Yeah, so say you were sick. Yeah.
I've lost from 531. Now I weigh 232.
Oh, so, man, you made a big one.
18 months.
18 months.
18 months, I've lost 299 pounds.
Wow.
And,
congratulations.
So I went from being on oxygen 24/7 to
running the hills,
not being on oxygen at all. And I outwalk some of these guys that weigh 108, 60, 70, 80 pounds. I'll just walk them in the ground now. And when I bought my first dog back, because I actually had to take a break because I was too sick. So I got my first dog in January of this year, January 1st. And the truth that my wife, we got up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and drove about 8 hours or 6 hours to Cherry Valley from where we're at and bought this dog, that Hummer 2020 dog I was talking about. And when I hunted him for about a month, I had to go with somebody. If he treed over 50 yards, I couldn't walk to him. I was that sick. So I just want to make a little plug for the good Lord. He brought this old fat country boy a long way. He's been so much better to me than what I've ever been to him and what I deserve. I'm just thrilled to be able to be here.
Yeah, that's it.
Talking about squirrel dogs.
That's a big thing. First off, congratulations, without a doubt. Because, the Lord can do, like you said, the Lord can do it all. Without a doubt, he don't need no help, but you got to do you got to do it too.
That's right.
He can hold your hand and guide the way, but you got to put forth your time too. We have, free moral agency where we can make our own decisions. So you had to make the right decisions.
Good or bad. Yep.
And, that's really something. I don't even know what to say. It makes me feel, I don't know now. I feel I was complaining earlier about, my hips hurt and I done walked 3 or 4 miles and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, maybe I need to quit being a whining bag and get busy. Because it
can always be worse. I promise you.
Exactly.
I've never been as thankful my whole entire life than I have been the last 6-8 months, because the truth of it is, a year ago, and this sounds drastic, but a year ago I could not carry a 12-pack of soda.
Really?
And then about it was after I was squirrel hunting every day, besides Sunday. But 6 months ago, I was able to lift a 50-pound sack of dog food for the first time in years because I'd been so sick. So I've come a long ways, and it sure helped me. Like now, you'll get a kick out of this. Our dogs, the other day, we was hunting in the mountains, and our dogs went 480 yards up this hill that you almost had to pull yourself up because it was about as straight up and down as what a man is standing straight up. And before, I would have been griping, complaining. I'd have been aggravated at them dogs. But when I got to the top, a feeling of gratitude and appreciation to God for getting me to where I'm at today, I couldn't help it. I started crying, thanking the Lord. I wasn't mad at the dogs. I wasn't griping about being out of breath. I literally was just looking up toward the sky and saying, God, thank you for letting me be here letting me enjoy what I love. I love these dogs. Yep. I love this sport, But anyway, that's enough of my rambling.
Oh man, that's good. That's it's like I said, there's not enough good to say. I can't say enough good about it. I got hurt a few years back, and of course, it's no comparison to what yours was, but I wasn't as healthy as I should been. So I get that. I understand what you're talking about. That feeling of gratification. I was standing on top of the mountains in North Carolina on a bear hunt, and I had climbed up this mountain, and I was following a man that was 74 or 76 years old at the time, and he was walking me in the dirt. But
Right.
I was able to stay with him. And when we got to the top of it, sun was coming up. It was above the clouds. And I was standing there with my son. And man, that's really all I needed. I just looked up, and that's what I said then. Like you said, I said, thank you, Lord. Like
Yes, sir.
It's just a whole nother thing. I felt accomplished. Them dogs was down there just smoking a bear, just burning him up. And
Right.
we were above him, and you could hear him just singing through the mountains. I said, "Oh my goodness!" And but like you said, it's really a big feat that you've accomplished. And I mean, like I said, I know we don't really know you that well or anything, but that's something to be proud of, and we're proud for you. And you just
Well, thank
keep
you,
on
buddy.
keeping on, keep
Yes.
on.
All credit to the good Lord.
Yes, sir.
But I am thankful He gave me the strength. 2 years ago, I'm Pentecostal, so don't hold that against me. But
Oh, man, go
but we go to Church of God church. But I had them to lay hands on me and pray for me, and my prayer was not that I'd lose weight, but that God would help me have the willpower to do what I need to do my part. He didn't make me eat all those Twinkies and donuts and ding dongs and French fries and all that. So He ain't just gonna make the weight fall off of me. So it's kind of like what you were talking about, the free moral agent. And I know this call wasn't to talk about God necessarily. But
Well,
I
it
can't
is.
help
That's what He had
But,
planned. That's what we're doing.
Yes, sir. But anyway, I said, just help me, God, to be able to do what I need to do, make good decisions, and He did. So I'm very thankful.
Yep.
I'll hush and let you.
Now I'm going to
Lead the
continue it
way,
on a
Grace.
little bit. I'm going to continue it on. I have a friend. His name is John Andrews, and John is he was a pretty good sized fella, and he's lost a lot of weight. He's taking good care of himself. He has come so far physically. And
Yes, sir.
John he's if I'm not mistaken, I think he just preached the other day at church. Was it last weekend or weekend before last? I was talking with him.
Awesome.
He's part of a group called Houndsmen for Christ. I want you to check that group out. It's like on social media, TikTok or Instagram or something like that.
Okay.
We're not affiliated with them. They don't get nothing out of it, but the satisfaction of saying this is something that's good. It's a group of men that hunt with dogs. They do daily devotionals, and they interact with people. I've been on there on their stuff, and they have really good messages every day. And they're talking
Awesome.
about dogs. They incorporate the hunt with it. It is truly a good thing. I'm a rough country boy. I mean, rough. Not as
Right.
rough as I used to be, but I mean, I still snorting, spitting, and stomping and carrying on all the time. That my biggest
Right.
vice is cussing. Lord have mercy.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I'll let her get going, but I do
Right.
know when to watch my language and how to talk to people. Like
Yes,
you
sir.
said, that I know how to make the right decisions on some stuff.
Yes, sir.
But those guys like that, they have a really good format for guys like yourself. I think you would really enjoy it. It's called Houndsmen for Christ. You make sure you check them
Houndsman
out.
for Christ. I'll definitely
Yeah.
will.
Make sure you check them out. I think that'll be something real good right there. Especially like I said, being a dog man and hunting all the time. That's what they do. I think they run a little bit of everything. Beagles and squirrel dogs, coon dogs, everything. So, but anyway, man, that was good.
Awesome.
That was a good testimony right there.
Yes, sir.
Nothing wrong with that. So, all right.
Well, it is a real story, I promise.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, like I said, that's what this is about. That's one of the whole reasons we started doing this podcast is if now keep in mind, if it was 180 degrees the other way, if you got on here and you were mad at something and you wanted to voice your opinion and you wanted to get on here and rant and rave and cuss and holler and do all that, well, then you can do that too.
Right.
You know,
right.
and I know that you won't do, you know, you're not going to do that.
But
I
have before.
Well, hey,
I'm not perfect, but I mess up too.
Good deal. And that's what we like. We like people that are real because we're all human.
Yes, sir.
We're all human.
That's right.
Ain't nobody perfect.
That's right.
But like I said, it just that was a good testimony there. I really needed that tonight too. That was good. All right, so now let's hear a couple more of these hunting stories. You got any more of them good hunting stories? Maybe something with you and your dad.
Well, probably the most enjoyable. Now, squirrel hunt. Can I talk about because
anything you want to?
Sam was a multi-purpose dog. He wasn't just a squirrel dog. So, Sam, my dad's world champion. Some of the funnest times I had with Dad. The most, I guess, it was fun because it was out of the ordinary and something different. He was a bear treeing son of a gun. And so he had 27 confirmed bear kills.
Man.
Buffalo River Sam did. And that was exciting. You get out there, a 400 or 500 pound bear, and see a cur dog put that thing up. You wouldn't think they'd go up a tree, but I promise you, he put some huge bears up trees, and you just thinking that bear was going to take his head off any time. And it was just exciting because he was so fast he could get them up a tree because he'd go in there and just gnaw on them, but he was quick enough he could get out before they hurt him, all except one time. And he didn't get out of the way in time, and that bear slapped him. And Dad thought it just cut his, I'm going to call it snout, but I guess you'd say nose would be the proper way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad thought it just cut his nose. Well, about 2 weeks later, Dad's got Sam in the house. He's about a 6-year-old dog at that time, and he thinks he's going to die. And Dad, like I am, I'll run my dog to the bed if I just think it's a little sick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad wasn't like that. For one thing, money was just too hard to come by. But he ended up taking him to the vet, and he had a bear claw stuck up in it. Had went through his nose, and it had got in his nasal cavity and set up an infection. But anyway, some of my funnest times with my dad with Buffalo River Sam was seeing these bears killed. Now, what they would do is that one fall. Now, I'm gonna keep it. I gotta watch what I say here. But one fall, my dad and Sam was in on killing 6 bear. Now, I'm not saying my dad killed all of them. I'm saying farmers would. One fall when bear season was open, these farmers would have these new. I don't know how much interaction you had with bears. You said you were hunting them. Mm-hmm. They are a real problem if they get coming around your farm or your house. I mean, they'll tear up that. So how Sam had 27 confirmed kills was a lot of these farmers would call Dad and tell them that they, having trouble with a bear. My dad would either say, well, I'll come over, and we'll scout it out. Or if you see it, just call me and I'll load him up and we'll come over. And so that was some exciting times, to be honest with you. Very exciting times. Now, there's a podcast out there that they've done a deal on my dad's old dog, and they tell this juiced up story about how the game wardens come by, the game and fish here in Arkansas, and I don't know who told them this because it sure wasn't me. But because they had a lot of the facts straight. They knew he had 27 confirmed kills. They knew about him getting the hurt and getting the claw in his nose. But they juice it up and say that the game and fish would have problem bears and come, and they would call me. They say Mr. Cowan, the way they were saying it, and then they would just come and borrow his dog. Well, there ain't no truth in none of that. Mm-hmm. But because Dad ain't loaning his dog out. It don't matter.
I was fixing to say that'd be pretty tough. But, I don't care if it's a game warden or not. If I got a dog like that, they ain't borrowing that. So
that didn't happen.
Y'all other podcasters, don't be telling them stories like that. Even though it sounds good.
It sounded good, and I'm guessing maybe whoever told them that didn't they didn't want to make it sound like my dad was an outlaw hunter or something.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying he was, because people would call him, and I'm not saying he killed all them, but
the
Sam
the dog was in it. Yeah.
Every one of them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's some of my most memorable memories, probably with our cur dogs, line of cur dogs that we have. Yes, I had a lot of good hunts, a whole bunch of them, squirrel hunting, but the most exciting was probably them bears.
I got you. Yeah, that bear hunting, it is exciting. We just started getting to fool around with that the past couple of years, and I'll be honest, it'd be real easy for me to have a pack of bear hounds, real easy. And I don't never have to kill a bear at all. I just running them and treeing them. I like it. I really
Yes,
do.
sir.
I like watching them dog work. I like it. It's a different style from what we normally do. And a lot of the things that I have found is a lot of the hog dogs, that they'll work real good for running bear. Not all of them, but the ones that aren't just real rough and catchy, because they'll learn real quick. They ain't gonna catch that bear like they will a hog. But I really enjoy it. So, with these high caliber dogs that you've got and have had over the years, I mean, honestly, like you've given us a list, and all these are really, really top notch dogs.
They really are.
I mean, these, like I said, these aren't your everyday backyard dogs. Even though they might have been in your backyard, they're not common to have that dogs like that. So there's a reason why it's good breeding, it's a good bloodline, good consistency. What do you look for when do you breed up pups very often?
I've got 2 litters right now. One of them's 4 months old, and the other one's like 3.5 months old. So yeah, I've bred a lot of pups. I've raised a lot of cur dog pups in the last 25 years.
Yeah, that's what I was going. Kind of what kind of go over your pup, your breeding and like raising pups and nutrition, different things like that for your puppies and your grown dogs as well. Everybody and the healthcare. Everybody loves to hear. We get a lot of feedback from our listeners, and they always ask questions on like different types of medicines, wormers, stuff like that. Kennel setups, what kind of kennels you use. You don't have to go into every bit of it, but just kind of give us a layout of how how you got your dog yard set up or your kennels, and maybe it can help some people.
If I miss anything, because I don't want to go in great detail, or we'll be here an hour from now, because I am a former pastor, so I take the long way around everything. But if you want to know something that I don't mention, just ask me, because I'm going to try to rush through it. So my setup is primarily where all my dogs are at. Is my dad and we built a 40 by 80. We built a 40 by 80. I'm going to call it a tabernacle. It's literally, I don't know if you ever saw these outdoor church things where they have a permanent, like a pole barn type thing.
Yeah.
So we have a huge slab. It's 40 foot wide and 80 foot long. And then we have that covered with a pole barn. We done that about 22, 23 years ago. And I've just, done the upkeep on it, and still in real good shape. Got them on concrete, or like them on concrete, because for obvious reasons. It's so hard to keep the worms out, the diseases, and all that mess. If you got them on dirt, a lot of people do put them in the little pens above the ground, and all that. But I don't like keeping my dogs in just a little tiny area. They need some room, So I have a chain link pens on that. And because my wife raises bassets and all that. I mean, we got dozens, not just a few dozens either. But we got a bunch of dogs. But I've got almost 30 mountain curs. But anyway, what we do, I think the key to maintenance on any dog is when they're 2 weeks old, we start worming them, and we worm them every 2 weeks until they leave here. or until once they're around 12 to 14 weeks old, then we back off on the worming. But we worm them every 2 weeks. Another thing, I'm sure it's probably a big deal everywhere, I guess, but here in Arkansas, parvo it's terrible. And so what we do, we give, and I don't know if anybody will think this is a good idea or not, but it does work. We give a Neopar shot, which a Neopar shot is, just for the listeners, I'll go in quick detail. It treats all strains of parvo. If you get these 5-way, 7-way, 9-way, 11-way, all that, it's like a flu shot. It only vaccinates against one strain of parvo. So we give a Neopar shot to all of our pregnant females while they're pregnant. What that does, that actually gets a little bit of that into the pup system and gives them maybe a little boost at life before they're old enough to give a shot to. And then we give them their first shot. I hate to ask this, but I'm going to have to ask my wife. It's 5 or 6. 5 weeks old, we give them a 5-way shot. 7 weeks old, we give another Neopar. And then at 9 weeks, we give another 5-way.
Okay.
And if we keep the pup, we give them another 5-way at 12 weeks, or another Neopar at 12 weeks old. So we probably overkill it, but if you lose enough dogs to parvo, you'll know that it's way, not only what it does to the dog, kill them or make them deathly sick, usually kill them, but it's cheaper in the long run to over-vaccinate. That's what we do. And as far as feed, we feed, I go up to Missouri and I buy my feed in bulk. I usually buy 5,000 to 6,000 pounds at a time, and then in big super sacks, they call it tote. But it's the same feed as Pride, and so it's 30% protein and about 17 to 18, about 20 to 22% fat. So we feed a real good feed.
Yes. Yeah, that's good stuff there. There used to be a place here we could go get it in the super sacks years ago, and it was high protein, high fat content. But man, they cut that out. I don't know. It's probably been 8-10 years ago now. I wish they still had it.
Yeah, we have to buy it as chicken feed because it's in Missouri. It's not the guy that sells it to us. I ain't gonna say his name, but they write it. Well, anyway, I done told off on myself.
Well, ours used to be cat food or catfish food. Yeah, same stuff. Same stuff. Yeah, and it's good, man. It's good feed, great feed. But
yes, sir.
I tell you, man, it's I'm glad this worked out to where you could get on here with us and spend some time talking with us. You know, I really had no idea you had like these high caliber dogs. Like this guy's no joke, man.
I'm gonna be honest. I knew you had some dogs. I just didn't know they was that serious. I know I had friended you a few months ago on Facebook, and I'm like, man, he's really just been hunting, and I've just seen you share so much, and I was like, and then I saw some stuff about your weight loss, but I hadn't really looked into it, and just hearing all of it, I'm like, man, this was a great guy to just randomly send a Facebook friend request.
Yeah, man, it's worked out great. Plus, he's got cur dogs. That's the best part.
That's why I friended him. I saw that cur dog standing on the tree. I was like,
Well, and we're gonna have to talk a little bit about maybe some of his cur dogs. I got to get these young dogs that we've got going and find them.
Our group is going to love the confidence in the cur dogs.
Yes,
Jeremy and Jared, they're very confident cur dog guys as well.
But now they've all switched over to yellow dogs. They all want them yellow ones.
Amen. Preach it, brother.
They like them yellow ones. I'm telling you.
Me and you both.
I got where I love them. I'm going to tell you 5 years ago.
I don't like them on the looks, but like you said, the seeing. And the more I keep thinking of that, I'm like.
Much, but you can just look and say, well, there they are right there.
I'm like, my dad's right.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about them now.
Now, hey, 5 years ago.
The brindle ones, though, they look so
You would have never told any of us that we was going to have yellow dogs at all.
No.
10 years ago, for sure, we'd have been like, no.
Brindle was too light.
Yeah, I wanted black, saddleback, dark brindle, all black. Black's
He's got
fine.
white. It better be on his chest or his toes.
That's it. That's all we wanted. And it was all of us was like that. But now we had all them OMCBA dogs, and they are strong dogs. Which a lot of ours are dual registered still, but I like
I need to talk to you guys. If you got dual registered Kimmer, you got dual registered Kimmers?
Yes, sir.
I need to. I'll do that off of this call sometime. But I'm looking for a female that's Kimmer and OMCBA dual registered. I need that in my kennel, in my breeding program.
Well, we might just be able to help each other out then.
Yes, sir.
But that'll work, my man. Do you got anything else you would like to talk about on here or add to this episode here, Mr. Kevin?
I really don't, but I'll wrap it up when you want me to. I'd like to do that. What I mean, not wrap it up. I know that's your job, but I'd like to say just the final word. But but as far as anything else necessarily, we've talked about so much, and I don't even remember what all we talked about.
And see, and you was worried about being able to keep. He told me, folks, listen. He said, man, I don't know. He said, you might have to help me out a little bit on it. We get them questions and stuff. Shoot, man, this guy's interviewed me. So, yes, but I tell you what I would like to do, like you said, we do appreciate it, and you keep on just keep that hard work up with your weight loss. And if there's anything that we can do, honestly, you let us know, whether it's through that, or if you just need a hand, if we can fix you up with a dog. If you want to go on a hunt, we'll line one up. We love it. That's what we do. But
I would love that sometime. Maybe come down, bring my dogs.
Yes.
I don't know. That'd be fun.
We'll go hunt. We ain't ashamed of our dogs. They ain't no good, but we ain't ashamed of them. I don't know. Some days it's like, some days I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't know. I might be ashamed of this one.
Well, what I find is a lot of guys that don't never comp hunt has better dogs than the ones that show up every weekend in a comp hunt. So I wouldn't say that
I don't even know how to comp hunt.
Dog. Yeah. Well, it'll get you blood. It's kind of like gambling. If
I know.
You don't want to continue doing it, don't ever start it. But
that's what I'm scared
I try
of.
To get everybody I can involved because it's addictive for sure.
Yeah. Well, you need good people in it. You need a good community in it and trustworthy people that you can do it. And so we're the same way. If we get started in something, we encourage people to do it. Even though we tell them, like you said, it's like, hey, if you start this, it's an addictive deal, so.
Oh, it's so fun. Yes, sir.
But now, like I said, anytime also, we're located in Jasper, which is just west of Birmingham, northwest.
Okay.
And straight
I was in
north
Birmingham a month and a half ago, probably.
Really? And we're straight north of Tuscaloosa, about 40 miles. So if you're ever in this area, and if you just need to stop off and take a break or just, rest your feet for a little while, holler at us. And I mean that. Anybody that knows us will tell you we mean that. Oh, yeah. When I say, hey, come hunt with us or stop by and have supper, that's what we mean. We ain't just saying that. I ain't gonna say it unless I mean it.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy.
And like I said, I look forward to talking with you some more. Like I said, off the podcast, because I definitely want to get into this. I want to talk some more about that Slim dog. He's really got my ears perked up. He's a dandy. He's got Tree Knocking Mike. He's got Boondock. He's got Cos, Buffalo River Sam. I mean, the dog's loaded up with, firepower cur dog. Good deal. Right. All right. Well, if you want the last word on this, you go ahead and you say whatever you need to say. And I don't need the last word, but I just wanted to say thank you, Joy. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate it. I appreciate what I think will be a good beginning of a great friendship. I appreciate that. I love this sport, and one of my most favorite things about the sport of squirrel dogs is the good people like you two that I get to meet. I just absolutely love it. Thank the Lord above for letting me be here and be able to do what I do today. And I encourage people, if you've never tried squirrel hunting, give it a try, because the world needs more good, clean entertainment. We've got so much crap going on in this world. I think every kid ought to own a squirrel dog. So, but thank you guys. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I've had a blast. I was a little nervous, to be honest. I don't know why. I preached in front of 100. I never did preach in a mega church, but I preached in front of 500, 600, 700 people
But I was probably more nervous about this than I was
Oh man,
doing that. So, but I've just had a blast.
I'm glad. Like I said,
It's
we
been
have
good.
too.
It's
Yeah,
been good.
it's been really good. And like now
We appreciate it.
in the future, like I said, we might reach out and try to do another episode. And what we'll do is we'll line up some topics, or if you get something on your mind where you're like, hey, I want to talk about this, or this, all you got to do is holler at me or Nate mainly, and we'll line it up and we'll do it again.
That sounds good.
All right, my
That
brother.
sounds good. Well, you can done tell I love to talk, so
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I've been accused
you all
of it
reach
myself.
out anytime. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Kevin. Well, you have a good night, and you just keep them hounds on the ground and you keep them feet pounded.
Well, thank you, guys. God bless and have a good evening. If this rain's stopped, I'm going to go cut a coon dog loose.
Wear them out.
Me and Slim's got a date here in a few minutes.
Shoot, yeah. Send me a picture or two.
My wife just said she never thought she'd have to compete with a dog named Slim.
Oh, well, y'all have a blessed night, and thank you again.
See you, Mr. Kevin.
God bless you both. Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Bye-bye. Well, boys, if I don't know. I've smiled the whole time.
I've been squirrel hunting all day, and I want to go again.
That was,
That got me
that's
fired
a
up.
lot motivational. Like, yeah, literally, he was talking about his deal with COVID. Just to recap on Mr. Kevin, he was very ill, and he was already, he was overweight. He was a big guy, and he was on oxygen.
His father passed away.
Yeah,
the same year he got sick.
Yeah, it's just a multitude of things, and he was like I said, he was a little worried about keeping his train of thought and stuff. On the interview, man, he did awesome. Like I said, and I feel there's a whole lot more there I need to get in, like on the knowledge part, not just the, hey, how you doing? We're talking dogs, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like the true breedings, what to look for. Let's see how pedigrees line up. And I know a lot of listeners want to hear that part. Yeah. So we're going to have to do some serious stuff too. I mean, my bread and butter deal is me talking trash and let's have a good time and, just keep it going. But at the same time, to be able to take several different breeders out here in the real world, and to take, if I could take and have just say 6 and interview all 6 of those and see how each one of them do their line breedings or cross outs or out crosses or crosses or whatever they do, inbreedings. It don't matter. Just see how they do their bloodlines. And I'm talking about guys who have had the same bloodline for 25 plus years. I'll probably put a cap on it at, say, 15-year minimum, maybe even 20-year minimum. And and see if we can't pick their brain to help guys like us out here in the world that are, we're trying to achieve that. And we're trying to make a better dog, but we got to know what first off, you got to have something worth starting with. The consistency I have found is the greatest variable. If you don't have consistency, then, it's not going to happen. So what are they doing to keep it consistent? There's got to be a formula other than just saying, hey, well, just line breed it. Well, is it more aunts and uncle or is it more daddy daughters? What is it? What's the recipe? So now I got to investigate on this. And I'm not talking about for my recipe, but I'm talking about what's working for all these other guys. I want to look at these cur dog lines and a couple of lines of hounds and a line or two of some bulldogs. And because those are probably our top 3 breeds that are really multi-purpose, and go from there with it. So anyway, well, that's another one in the books. Mr. Kevin Cowan, Buffalo River Dogs. Y'all need to check them out. I don't know. I didn't know much. I know the name. I know the Buffalo River name. Or I knew a lot of them. I didn't know that was who we were calling. I didn't even know who we were
Like
interviewing.
I said on the
Yeah, like, we
it
didn't
was
even
just
know that.
I had no clue.
So that's why I said, so this Slim dog, I've been looking at Slim. And that was when he said Slim, I was like, you see me over there? I was like, oh, yeah. So now it's like, we got to do something. We got to talk. Well, 10-4, everybody. Well, one more again. We out. We done. We tired.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go get loaded up and roll out and do it again tomorrow. So y'all keep on listening and we keep on talking. And y'all make sure to remember that we do the call-in stuff for Uncle Pat. Y'all make sure that y'all check in with the questions with me or Nate or Uncle Pat. Holler at us and let us know. The last time I think we had a couple guys that they text is like, hey, we can call in if you need somebody to call in. I was like, well, yeah, if you want to call in, hey, you ain't got to do that. Call in, text and say, hey, I have a question, blah, blah, blah. So y'all get with us. So until the next time, we out.
Hope y'all enjoyed that episode. Stay tuned for our new episodes every Monday and Wednesday. For questions, advertising, or just to chat, email DixieDoggers01@gmail.com.